So let's talk about B vitamins. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And a study in B vitamins is basically an entire course in cell biology. If you get into understanding how the B vitamins work at a cellular level, if you're really geeky about the science, then you're going to get into everything from metabolism of all of your sugars, proteins, and fats. You're going to get catabolism of all of those as well. How does it build back up those things? You're going to get into DNA synthesis, DNA activation, signal transduction pathways, membrane. It's pretty much the whole gambit, okay? So if you don't want to take a full course in cell biology and you just want to know a little bit about B vitamins, let me help break this down, okay? I'm going to operate from the Super B supplement here that we're recommending for our endocrine system. And while it doesn't have a direct connection to the endocrine system, it has such a fundamental, the B vitamin, whole B vitamin series has such a fundamental factor in cell function that we're adding this in as a way to support. There's also a reason why we're waiting this far down the road. Okay, most of the B vitamins, if you have poor digestion, you're not going to absorb. Okay, or many of them. So it becomes a problem of absorption. So here's what you kind of think. Let me go down this list of the B vitamins and I'll kind of go over each one of these or just a little bit. So probably one of our big ones you hear about a lot is B12, okay? And so B12 is a cobalt cofactor. So here's you got your mineral cofactor involved. You got to have cobalt with it. And the absorption is very sensitive to medications that will block your stomach acid. You have to have stomach acid in order to absorb your vitamin B12. And so if you're on these medications that block your stomach acid, then you're really not going to be able to absorb your B12. And it's the other thing about B12 is that it's only found in animal products. So vegetarians tend to be or tend toward leading toward deficiencies in B12. You're going to have to find a way to supplement your B12 if you're a strict vegan vegetarian, okay? And then B6, kind of a companion B6, B12 that talked about a lot. Again, this one does not have as much of a problem of absorption. All these are involved in these metabolic pathways. It's absorbed in the jejunum and small intestine, the B6 is. So really not as much of an issue, fairly easily absorbed. If you start going down the list, we've got riboflavin, okay? This is the one that's absorbed in the latter half of the small intestine. This one is used to help with other B vitamins. So we need, in order to convert tryptophan to niacin, we need riboflavin. In order to convert B6 to an active form, to another metabolic form, cellular form, you need the riboflavin. So it's not absorbed much past 25 milligrams. So there's no point in supplementing a large amount in one dose because you don't absorb it past about 25 milligrams. The riboflavin is the one that's fluorescent yellow. If you ever take B vitamins and you're annoyed about the fact that your urine seems to be like bright fluorescent yellow, well, that's actually the riboflavin in there, and you're peeing out some of that riboflavin. And it actually literally is fluorescent yellow, and it responds to light and fluoresces. So that's why it really has that pop, that brightness to it. When we get to folate versus folic acid, there's been a lot of discussion in that. And the folic acid, the acid version of it, it tends to have some problems. If you oversupplement folic acid, you can have some side effects that start to flip the negative side, irritate the nerves and the vascular system. But folate doesn't have those concerns. So Young Living had replaced their folic acid with folate, and that's the methylated version. And those are, as you've heard of methylation, those are involved in the methylation pathway to formation of SAM, acetylenolmethionine. And you can get really deep into that whole methylation pathway as it pertains to DNA and as it pertains to detoxification. And so it's an important element that happens. And most of these B vitamins are centered around the liver. They get stored in the liver. So if you have a weak liver or you've torn your liver up with alcohol or medications or other kinds of things, you may have problems with B vitamin processing, and then that comes down the road with all the other issues of deficiencies. Most of the deficiencies in B vitamins, when you look at from a research perspective, they're very hard to pin down and identify, okay, that B vitamin, if it's deficient, has that, because these have such wide ranges. So you have these symptoms that almost everyone has: fatigue, depression, some degree of this or that, muscle soreness, that kind of weakness, maybe some weak nails or weak hair. We'll talk about that in biotin, which is next. But you see these wide range of symptoms that, like I said, 9 out of 10 people walking around the street have just from stress. And I think the stress basically prevents us from either absorbing or utilizing our B vitamins, or is eating up the B vitamins in these stress pathways. So I think that while clinically speaking, we don't necessarily have B vitamin deficiencies, supplementing some really good quality broad spectrum B vitamin supplement like Super B, for example, might be worth doing to see if it can level out some of these other elements that sort of end up looking like B vitamin deficiencies, but when you look at it clinically or at the blood levels, it doesn't seem to hold up. Or you say, well, the doctor says, oh, I'm fine, you don't have a B vitamin deficiency. So it may be worth, like I said, just doing some low-level supplementation. We'll talk about this in a minute. So biotin, here's one of those that high doses can give there's some problems with high doses. Sometimes you can take too many B vitamins, and in the case of biotin, if you take too much B vitamin, and some of these are not that high, even 10 milligram doses for biotin, can actually result in a false positive Graves' disease or hyperthyroidism. So if you're right now just recently on the diagnosis of a hyperthyroidism or Graves' disease, and you're taking a B vitamin, you might need to retest. Stop taking your biotin. Stop taking your biotin B vitamin supplement that has biotin in it. Stop that for 3-5 days or a week. Go back and get your test done and see if you're still testing for hyperthyroidism or Graves' disease. So you don't want to end up with getting your thyroid removed or being treated for hyperthyroid when all it is that you've had a high supplementation level of biotin. So biotin is also one of those that you see in the hair products. They say, well, I've got the shampoo with biotin. I don't think there's any evidence clinically that external sources of biotin in a shampoo will do much, but there is some evidence that biotin can help with your nails. If you've got weak nails or ridges in your nails and your weak hair, supplementing some biotin might be helpful with that. Niacin. Now here's one that does have some of that flushing, the sense of the flushing, and it increases heart arrhythmia. So if you already have an arrhythmia, you probably want to be careful. I'm not saying don't supplement niacin. My wife Amy has arrhythmia. When she takes anything with niacin in it, she ends up feeling all jittery all day. What she does is if she takes that on an empty stomach. So the key to this, to vitamin B supplement in general, and this is what it says on the bottle for a Super B, is take it with food. Now, if you know already that you tend to flush with niacin, and this is supposed to be a non-flushing sense, but you can still get these effects, like I said, in the heart, if your heart's a little bit off, then you want to take a quarter dose and take a quarter of a tablet every meal. If you just lower your dose, leak it in throughout the day, you're going to have a much easier time with that. You probably not have any trouble at all with the heart issue associated with that. So try that for your niacin. Let me also say something about niacin. Here's the interesting way that the research is reported in some of these government websites. So niacin has been studied for its cholesterol lowering capabilities, and the way that is worded in the study goes like this. There is no clinical evidence, no benefit to taking niacin for cholesterol lowering effects for those who are already on a cholesterol lowering medication. So I'm like, okay, why are we talking about supplementing niacin with people already taking? So in other words, the first one they want you to see, I'm sorry to be conspiratorial about this, but the first line they want you to see is, don't bother taking niacin when you're on a blood cholesterol lowering medication, because it's not going to help you at all. But then you keep reading and go, well, okay, if you're not on a blood cholesterol lowering medication, then niacin can actually lower your cholesterol. I'm like, oh, okay, why are we using all these cholesterol-lowering medications? Okay, so for those of you who are interested in working on your cholesterol And you want to do this with a natural method. Niacin has some direct, very clinical evidence that taking some niacin can help lower your cholesterol. So something you might look at if you're kind of arguing with your doctor. Let's move on to thiamine. Okay, this is an important sulfur-containing B vitamin. And the thing about this is going to be very sensitive to your diet, okay? So the thiamine is inactivated by sulfites, and then that can also be a factor of sulfates as well, but sulfites in particular directly inactivate thiamine. Caffeic acid and tannic acids also affect or inactivate thiamine. So you basically, if you're drinking your tea and coffee, iced tea, you know what I'm saying, your sweet tea, coffee, and then eating processed meats, you know, lunch meat or sausages that have the nitrates, or wine that have nitrites, sulfites, I mean, if you're getting that stuff in there, then sulfites in particular, so wine in particular, you're going to deactivate your thiamine. So you really want to watch out and watch out for that and get rid of your sulfites in your diet, and that's just a good thing to do in general. So watch your wines, get your wine. If you're going to drink wine, which I don't recommend anyway, but there's no real benefit to alcohol. I mean, if you're needing to calm down, learn how to breathe, and use some lavender oil. Okay, pantothenic acid is the last B vitamin we're going to talk about here. And it's interesting. It's kind of like amino acids where it has to be in the D isomer. If you get any in the L isomer, so it doesn't occur, is plenty of this. Most of your B vitamins occur a lot in nature. The only one that I saw that was concerning in terms of eating it, and most of this is in your diet. You get plenty of it, except for you get to the pantothenic acid and you go, okay, it's in the diet, it's in your grains, but it's in your whole grains, it's in the outer layer. So when they strip the outer layer off of your whole grain and you're eating processed wheat or processed grain foods, you've lost all your pantothenic acid. So that's where you, okay, well, we need to go back and add that back. Anyway, so it's not unreasonable because supplementation, the higher doses are pretty innocuous. Most of these B vitamins have no upper limit, no worries or concerns for high level dosing or supplementation. Then they say, okay, well, it makes sense to go ahead and supplement some B vitamin. And for the most part, like I said, the best way to utilize this and absorb it is to take a small amount of B vitamin complex in your food, with a meal, okay? Treat it like a food. So in this case, we also have an additional, we've got calcium, magnesium, zinc, selenium, and manganese. And so we have all kinds, this is a really, really fabulous supplement. If you know already that you're sensitive to the niacin and you get that you feel fluttered with that, then cut this in a quarter. And take a quarter of it with your food and take that with each meal throughout the day, so you're still getting your one a day of this. You don't need, this is actually recommending, say, 2 tablets. I would start with 1 and just work up from there, but even just 1 a day is for the most part adequate for these supplementing B vitamin. Okay, so that's my story on B vitamins. Again, you can find an entire course in cell biology if you're trying to understand each one of these individual B vitamins, how they affect the nerves, the nerve function, energy system, ATP production, DNA activation, RNA, protein synthesis, mitochondrial functioning, everything from fat metabolism, carbohydrate metabolism, protein, amino acid metabolism. All of those things can be found in a study of understanding the B vitamins. So if you want to make yourself crazy with cell biology terms, or if you're really geeking out, go ahead and look up online each of the ingredients on here and read everything there that you can find. Even just Wikipedia has actually some pretty good articles, and just read about those. You're gonna, like I said, you're gonna discover an entire course in cell biology just by studying your B vitamins. So if you don't want to worry about that, just watch for some of these cautions that we've gone over in this video, and very reasonable to be supplementing every day a little bit of B vitamin. Happy wellness, one day at a time.